Okay, well, welcome to our viewers and followers of Central Asia-Caucasus Institute. I'm Rich Outzen, Senior Fellow with the Institute, and I'm here with Dr. Fred Starr, the founder and the guiding spirit of CACI, and we're here to give you an update on what's going on with the Institute. So, Dr. Starr, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
A couple of things I wanted to pick your brain on. The first is your recent travel to Almaty and participation in the B5+1 discussions there. Can you talk to us a little bit about what B5+1 is and your impressions of your recent travel?
Well, it was most interesting. B5+1 is 5 Central Asian states. That's as they define it at the moment, plus the United States. But the B, it refers to business. So this was really a business conference of American and other foreign plus local businesses and government people involved with business. It was a sensational conference. It came off very, very well. And I am proud to say that our little institute had a role in bringing about the C5+1 back almost a decade ago. It was actually something that we were discussing, and it was the ambassador from Kazakhstan to the United States who proposed it to the then Secretary of State Kerry, who approved having an annual meeting at the presidential level with all the presidents of Central Asia. And this year was the first time that an American president actually sat in on such a meeting. So an American president has yet to go to Central Asia, but this is an important step nonetheless.
Well, congratulations on the important role that you personally and CACI as an institution had in helping that come to pass. Another important milestone for CACI recently was the arrival of the most recent group of Rumsfeld Fellows, which is a joint project sponsored by CACI and the Rumsfeld Foundation. Can you talk a little bit about what that program is and about the new group of fellows?
With pleasure. Back when Donald Rumsfeld was leaving the Pentagon, he called me up and said, I had to attend an awful lot of international conferences when I was secretary. And he said they were extremely dull, except for the fact that there were very bright and impressive young men and women from Central Asia and the Caucasus. I'd like to do something for them. Well, he had made some money during his years in business out in Chicago, and he said we could put this for some practical use for these people. So we started the Rumsfeld Fellowship Program, which has now been going for more than a decade, very successfully. We take top promising young men and women. Initially, they were in their early 20s. Now they go up into the late 30s even. But these are not people who have big prospects, but who have big achievements. They're already doing it, and the latest crop of them just came to Washington. They spend 6 weeks traveling around the country, meeting with all sorts of impressive people in Washington, getting some taste of the United States, and then they go back and they continue to stay in touch with each other, and they have a kind of alumni association, which is now the earliest fellows are ministers of state, they're heads of corporations, they're boards sitting on boards of major banks and so on. So it's a big deal. And the annual conference that we have, the so-called CAMCA conference, is where they all reconvene, but it's open to everyone. It's a kind of Central Asian Davos, if you will, without the mountains.
And this is it's a pretty wide-ranging group, right? I mean, you've got people from Mongolia and from Georgia, as well as Afghanistan, in addition to the sort of what we typically consider the stands, the Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and so forth. So a little broader maybe than some people would normally construe the region.
It is, but let's face it, the United States government and many others are still defining Central Asia in Soviet terms, the 5 former Soviet republics. Historically, for 2,000 years, 3,000 years, it has included Afghanistan. And culturally, it certainly includes Azerbaijan. Well, it was Don Rumsfeld's vision, and I really, it's the more impressive as I think back on it, that he wanted to include Mongolia because he'd had contacts there. And we did include Mongolia, and we had a CAMCA meeting in Ulaanbaatar, and the Mongolian fellows are among the best. And now they and the Central Asians and the people from the Caucasus all realize this is a much bigger region than we thought.
Yeah.
It includes, of course, the Caucasus, Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Georgia, but it also includes Afghanistan. And we have a really impressive group of Afghan fellows,
Great.
most of whom are in exile, of course.
Well, just to finish up, so we can let people get back to their day. Let's talk a little bit, if you will, about what's coming up in Bishkek in June, because this is one of those gatherings, right, of the network, both of people who have participated in the program as fellows, but also of companies and organizations that find this network interesting, right, and the potentially broadening this from a fellowship of fellows to one that includes interested business parties and other organizations.
Well, that's exactly right. And it's a very important point you make. CAMCA meeting, Central Asia, Mongolia, Caucasus, and Afghanistan, CAMCA meeting is really a kind of Central Asian Davos, and leaders of business and government come. We strongly urge all business people, government people, academic people in the region and not to join us. You don't have, there's no, you don't have to be invited. You can just come and sign up, and it will be in Bishkek in Kyrgyz Republic in the middle of June. And if you go on CAMCA, you'll find all the information about it.
Excellent. All right. So a good web presence there. Well, Dr. Starr, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. I appreciate your time. And this is the last week of March 2024. Always interesting things going on in region. And we'll be back next week to talk about some other topics related to Central Asia and the Caucasus.